Just look at this photo. Nothing wrong here, nothing to see. It just looks like a totally natural photo. This week on Movies Not to Watch with Your Significant Other, we have Ghosted, starring Chris Evans and Ana de Armas. This is Apple TV Plus's newest release, and I gotta say, this thing is some hot garbage. This kind of fell on my radar because everybody had been talking about how bad it is. Rolling Stone says it's one of the worst movies of the year, and I had to see, is that true? And I think the only redeeming quality of this whole movie is the role reversal and the story arc. With the whole damsel in distress angle, they flip it. Chris is the guy that needs saved at every turn in the movie, and I thought that was added a fun element to it, but that's where the fun stops. This movie is horribly written, poorly acted, the color grading sucks, the cinematography is bland, and nobody looks like they're trying. It feels like everybody just phoned it in except for the sister in this movie, who's really wanting you to believe that Chris Evans' character is a total failure and that he can't do anything right, he can't think for himself, but you don't get that in her delivery. She just acts super annoyed with him, and I think that's my first issue with this movie, the delivery of everything. Now, I know the actors are stuck with a pretty shitty script, and I didn't get the vibe that they wanted to get any more creative with it. Now, the first indicator of this is when Chris Evans and Ana de Armas are interacting with each other at a farmer's market, and they get into it over a plant. Ana is going to kill this plant because she never is home to take care of it, and Chris Evans doesn't want that to happen. So they bicker a little bit. Then after that little scrap is over, another character comes over and says, hey, I saw all the sparks flying and blah blah blah. I didn't think you guys were flirting. How else was he supposed to notice that? They just looked like they were fighting the whole time, and I think that really boils down to the writing of the script. There's nothing that indicates to the audience that they are flirting with each other. It just felt like two people arguing, and then that feeds into the line delivery from the sister later in the movie, where she really wants you to believe that Chris Evans is this failure, and it felt overacted and underwritten, and it just did nothing but make another annoying character to add to the movie. And speaking of characters, the only two that we really learn anything about are our two leads, which I guess is not the worst thing in the world, but the main antagonist in the movie does nothing but kind of stand in the corner and say some things and then leave. His presence in the movie is just not there. This movie feels so underwritten. The whole movie, I felt like I was watching robots. None of the actors have any chemistry with each other, but let's get into more of how the movie is filmed. The movie is filmed fine. It's not like the worst thing ever, but you can see the cracks left and right. The CGI looks unfinished, and the blending of the actors within the scenes just does not ever mesh very well. The way this movie is cut together also kind of gives the impression that the actors weren't on set at the same time, although there have been behind the scene photos showing the opposite. This whole thing feels very beginner, but this does more show Apple TV not really knowing how to produce quality content outside of what has already happened before. Like I said, this movie's only redeeming quality is the role reversal with the two main leads. I think what works about early 2000s rom-coms, Matthew McConaughey stuff, even though they're not the highest quality movies, they have fun, interesting scripts with fun, interesting premises, and everybody involved feels like they're kind of putting their own spin on it. Yeah, the actors, they do fine. They do what they can with what they're given. The script also has a lot of plot conveniences. Chris Evans just conveniently ended up having a ticket to the place he needed to go, like he got back from college or something. Whatever gets him across the ocean to wherever this movie takes place. I will say, the only other redeeming part of this movie are the cameos. There's this fun little sequence where all these assassins are trying to kill each other. They very much want to set up their own little assassin world here, but it feels like they're kind of scared to do it. Kind of like they did with the Gray Man in a way, versus this kind of feeling like they're afraid to kind of take it a step further. But the scene kind of just deals with all these assassins who just keep killing each other. They're trying to capture our leads, but the whole gimmick of it is each one's a cameo of a different actor, and I found that to be a fun scene. They provided a nice little chuckle, interesting to watch for 2 minutes of screen time. Could have been worse. And if the movie wasn't lazy enough, they decided to go with plenty of licensed music. I don't know why we're still in this stage with movie soundtracks where we're doing this. I get it if it's a song, one licensed song that we all know for the sake of whatever scene, but they don't do anything to enhance the scene. It's just music to add momentum to whatever we're watching, but it's not interesting because it's a song all of us have heard out the wazoo, and I don't want to hear more Guns N' Roses or whatever the hell it was, AC/DC. If you live in Sacramento, you'll know that 98 Rock loves to play the same music over and over. I don't want to hear it anymore. Only exception I'll make for that is if you're getting creative with the scene itself. But like I said, the fight choreography sucks, and nothing they add to it enhances the experience at all. And the script just keeps trying to remind you that these people love each other. And by the end of this whole thing, we get this kind of over-the-top finale. It feels so low stakes. It's not a good movie. Don't watch it. If you're looking for a fun rom-com, just rewatch what you've seen before, because this is something that is just another cash grab. Apple TV doesn't have too much quality content outside of that. I just started the show Shrinking. Actually really super good, heartwarming show. So they have some stuff, but outside of that, there's not really anything that is going to warrant me signing up for Apple TV. So thank you for that 6-month free trial. Those are my thoughts on Ghosted, the newest rom-com that everybody's talking about, although there's a new one called The Citadel, and they're also calling it like one of the worst movies of the year. So we might be back. We might have to do like a comparison video and talk about the two for shits and gigs. Thanks for hearing my thoughts on the movie. If you have seen it, what did you think of it? Love to know in the comments down below. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out my last couple videos. Had a fun time making all of those and talking about video games. This is a nice little change of pace, but we're gonna get back into video games with Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Once I finish this massive game that it is, I want to just dive straight into that game and talk about it with you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.